Damn, Rogas was cornered. Until that hot Las Vegas afternoon on September 1st, he was the only person at his company NS8 with access to one of the company's 2 bank accounts where all the customer revenue was sent. But, in the preceding weeks, executives at the cyber fraud software startup had begun asking questions about how much money it actually had. Following pressure to show those bank statements, he agreed to meet NS8's vice president of finance at a Bank of America branch on Charleston Boulevard, where he would hand over the account's login credentials, according to people with knowledge of the matter. But minutes before the scheduled meeting time, NS8's board received an email from Rogas, announcing his resignation as CEO. Effective immediately. NS8 is now in the process of winding down after laying off most of its 200-plus employees last week. Some of its blue-chip investors, who poured in more than $150 million, have informed their partners that there may be little or no financial recovery. For those left wondering what happened at one of Las Vegas' hottest tech startups, and one of its most bizarre alleged frauds, some questions were answered on Thursday when Rogas was arrested by the FBI in Las Vegas. The 43-year-old was charged with multiple counts of fraud by the Justice Department and Securities and Exchange Commission, alleging that he fabricated bank statements and misled investors for years. He is facing penalties up to 20 years in prison, and is expected to appear in court Friday. As recently as June, Rogas had allegedly shared falsified bank statements with employees and investors that showed the company's BOA account had $62 million. According to the SEC complaint, the actual figure was closer to $28,000. Such deceit enabled Rogas to pocket more than $17.5 million selling his shares to investors in April, the SEC claims. In communications with Forbes prior to his arrest, Rogas said that investors had pushed to buy more shares in the company after it almost ran out of money in September 2019. He went on to say that he had left the company for personal and family reasons. "I just couldn't do it anymore and knew I didn't have what it would take to go back to my board and other investors to raise more funds to keep the company going and moving forward," he wrote to Forbes via LinkedIn. In a statement, NS8 spokesperson Genevieve Haldeman said that the federal investigation is ongoing, though no one else has been charged. Upon an internal probe, she said, the board had learned, much of the company's revenue and customer information had been fabricated by Mr. Rogas. But some of NS8's departed employees told Forbes they had been raising flags to NS8 executives about major discrepancies in its financial figures for some time. "I've said for a while now that NS8 is a Potemkin village," says Matt Zenner, a former sales director at NS8 who told executives in June he believed the company could be involved in fraud.